Thanks guys for being interested. So my name is Detlef Poth and I'm working for Intel and I'm actually based in Germany. And I'm taking care about SAP from a technology enabling perspective, and I would like to give you an update about what we're doing in respect of co-innovation and what value that might bring to you guys as a customer or partner. And I was actually tasked to prepare slides for 30 minutes, and now they just told me it's just 15 minutes. So you heard digital transformation is accelerating. We'll need to make that happen by switching slides very much faster than normal. So stay with me. We get there. Lots of legal disclaimers. That went really fast. It's the wrong way around. He told me to click left. That didn't work well. So you read all of that. There is no better place, obviously, to really hear about digital transformation. It's really happening faster and faster. And existing business models are kind of challenged on a daily basis. And it's getting more and more tricky for enterprises, to keep the lights on and at the same time start innovating. And but there is good news, as you heard SAP talking about HANA is the digital core for everything. And to run HANA on Xeon is a proven technology. There's more than 10,000 installations of SAP HANA on Xeon out there. And we're actually bringing a lot of co-innovation efforts together with SAP to help you driving that journey forward. And no matter where you're actually going, if it started with IoT and now AI is the big thing, and we're helping getting you going. So the way we are working in respect of SAP, you know that we are producing silicon, and to really bring the silicon out of the factory takes 5 years. So we're actually starting with SAP already 5 to 7 years before you can actually purchase the stuff we're bringing to market. And you probably have heard about this morning persistent memory in the keynote, which is fundamental, and I will tell you a little bit my perspective about why I believe it's a disruptive technology. We started working with SAP in this technology 5 years ago. There was the first pathfinding workshop where we said, we have a great technology, how can we make it the best use, bringing value to SAP's customers and partners? And you will hear more about that. There's at 2 p.m. a live session of showing first time S4 HANA running on non-volatile memory. So other stuff we're actually driving is with Leonardo in the IoT space. We touched that briefly, and also machine learning, as it is a new buzzword with Leonardo. Actually, it's part of HANA. Predictive analytical library is in the HANA stack, and all of that is available and goes in the AI spot. So just to move fast back, how everything started, to give you a perspective, how we work with SAP. You're probably aware there has been 30 years the data silos in the enterprise data center, transactional databases, and then you needed to put everything into the data warehouse to drive your business insights. In 2004, we sit together with SAP and said, this is by far too slow. During those days, nobody talked about real-time enterprise. It was just, how can we get our queries, our batch faster? And then we came up, because of Moore's law, during those days in 2004, first multi-core CPUs came up, and we got more and more compute power. And we kind of drove the business intelligence accelerator, which was like a turbocharger on your business warehouse. And that was going quite well. That was supported just on Intel. And then the same team who was working here with us said, we have an even more weird idea. We kind of try to make it happen, instead of just a portion in memory, to really take the whole database into memory. How can we make that? We get up to 2 terabytes in a server, and we compress the data so we can get everything in. This is how really since 2009 we're working with SAP and bring on a regular basis innovation to you guys. And it's been quite a journey, and meanwhile we're not just scaling up to the largest boxes, we are as well starting very small, because we believe customers are always like a little bit scared about new technologies if you're not familiar with that. And before you do a serious investment for a big box, your IT folks want to figure out, or your business unit wants to try out and say, I heard HANA Studio is so easy going, we can actually do that. And like the small nooks, and you can see them, these boxes, they can run the complete HANA Express load, which is free of charge, and that box really doesn't cost a fortune, and you have a complete stack running on it. So it's kind of a sandbox approach you can do, but as well it's meanwhile used, for example, for predictive maintenance and service on the edge, because you don't want to stream if you have edge computing. You don't want to stream all the data through the backbone back into your enterprise data center to do some analytics there. You might want to do that on the edge. You can do this with the small units very cost efficiently. Just like a one-pager about the Xeon processor advantage for HANA, we have an open ecosystem. You heard about the open paradigm. That's what Intel also stands for. Bill McDermott was talking about it. We have a great operating system with SUSE, and we're working hand in hand with SUSE in a lot of innovation space, like persistent memory. SUSE is like our leading partner. And it's a proven technology, and you've been seeing the scalability, so nothing new. The innovation we're driving, what does it translate to? And I want to give you a little bit of a historical perspective. Like when we started with SAP HANA, and you see here on this slide, on the left side, you are actually seeing the 4-socket server, and you see OLAP and you see OLTP. The other side is for 8-socket servers. What you can see here is when we started with SAP HANA with the first Xeon SKU, a 4-socket server was able to hold 0.5 terabyte. And like if you move forward, and this is like 4 years in between, 4 to 5 years in between, then you could, on the same box, you could hold 2 terabytes, which is a factor of 4 in terms of innovation. That means when you wanted to have a 2 terabyte appliance here, you would have needed to have 4 nodes and a cluster operated. Think about the operational costs associated to that instead of having one machine. And this is our latest generation, codename Broadwell E7 V4. And you might have heard today in the keynote, so therefore I can share that with you, that Brian already indicated, our new CPU technology, which is coming in July, codename is Skylake, that did a great improvement, so of 60% of improvement. So you can estimate that this is going to be, very much more in terms of terabytes supported on a server than what you got today, and that translates to great TCO advantage for customers. Then performance-wise, obviously alternative facts. I always hope IT is binary and there's just a 0 and a 1, but it sounds like alternative facts are making their way into IT, and I hear a lot of gossip about the Xeon system wouldn't be performing well, so I felt like I need to get some facts out here. So there is, in terms of SAP HANA, there are 2 relevant benchmarks which are based on HANA, which is BW-AML and which is BW for HANA. And all of those world records are based on the Xeon infrastructure, on the Xeon architecture. And even there is no of the competitive, doing any of those benchmarks out there already yet, because we have such a great performance. I mentioned that the next generation of our Xeon processor, which is going to be launched this summer, is bringing a great performance. And I just want to introduce you to the new branding we're actually bringing to market. You're probably aware Xeon processor E7 and E5, that was a branding before. You will see a new branding scheme which goes from bronze to platinum. And it's kind of very easy, this is okay performance, this is good, this is better, this is best. So in terms of SAP HANA, as HANA is compute constrained, you really want to get the best performance, so you can expect that the SKUs you want to use for SAP HANA are going to be based on the Platinum SKU. In terms of capabilities which are going to be made available with the new processor, you might just see Xeon as like the general purpose CPU, but there is a lot of complementary stuff which is going to be made available. There is, options you can integrate like high-speed networking. We are doing a lot of new instructions which are going to be helping SAP HANA, and you heard about the performance improvements. And there is also going to be accelerators on that platform you can get into play, like for example FPGA you can take in there, or from our latest acquisition in terms of AI technology, Nirvana, which is an ASIC, for example, to accelerate machine learning workloads. To talk a little bit more about persistent memory, do you guys have a clue yet how that can play for HANA and what could be anticipated? No thoughts yet? So, first of all, the technology is very different to what you have today in the DRAM. DRAM is the source for all the HANA databases. All the data is today loaded into DRAM. This technology we've been inventing, we can make much more dense. So you can expect that you can get larger capacities than you have today with DRAM. That's one point. And from the material perspective, as we can really scale this well from the manufacturing, we are very confident to make that a very affordable technology for you. And why does that matter? If you guys have considered or already purchased a HANA appliance and you look into the bill of material, if you check like what the server costs, you will figure out that the DRAM is, especially for large servers, the biggest cost driver. The DRAM can make easily up to 60% of the server bill of material. So if we can promise you, it's not going to be that expensive anymore, it's going to be affordable, that will bring down the cost of your hardware price dramatically. And that's the TCO aspect. What does it bring for HANA? And why do we perceive this to be a disruptive technology? My personal view on that is, it is actually, think about, it is a fundamentally changing compute, because compute always was volatile. No matter if you look at your phone, if you look at your notebook, if you look at a server, when you start that thing, it is dumb. There is no data, nothing in. Everything needs to be loaded from a storage, from a persistency, and loaded up into memory. It used to take forever when you started Windows, your computer. It was like 5 minutes, you went for a coffee and came back, and it got a little bit faster meanwhile. But for HANA server, if you have terabytes of data in your machine, even if you started the machine, to load the data from the data volume can easily take 20 minutes, 40 minutes. It depends how large your server is. You've been seeing we have servers which go up to 20 terabyte. Load 20 terabyte. Try to load something on your USB stick and you kind of like get a feeling it can take forever. And when you got persistent memory, that means if you power off, the data stays in that DIMM. You know, and that means if you have like a maintenance window for HANA, that basically you can shut down the machine, you start it up again, and the database is still in the DIMM. But you don't need to be worried in terms of if somebody comes and steals your DIMM, the data is encrypted. Okay. So any questions associated to that? Okay. So, you know, I believe this is going to be changing because it's been the limitation of compute from the beginning that this was necessary, and this will move away and it will change also HANA. And you heard HANA is making full use out of this capability from its launch. Yeah, and this is kind of the journey, and you know, batch processing we talked about, and you know, the real-time enterprise as SAP HANA enabled is, that's almost feels like yesterday. It's been so many years that HANA is actually alive. And now it's more like predicting the future. We have some demo in our booth. We have IoT demo, we got persistent memory demo, we got predictive analytics demo, which is part of HANA. And you know, we're also working on the AI piece, and we're going to make sure that capabilities like Leonardo brings, that we can scale them and make them affordable to everybody. Because you know, as buzzy it sounds, you want to make sure that you utilize, you know, those capabilities on your existing Xeon server, and we will help you doing that. So, in that sense, you know, you can expect from us that we will continue working with SAP to bring you the best performance, the best scalability, and we're having solutions for the edge, you know, everything related to Leonardo. We have gateways to allow you really to take all the sensor data from your edge and make that available. We're working in the machine learning space, demo at our booth, and also the persistent memory, I believe, is going to be really exciting, and I would like to ask everybody, if you have a look at it, you will see S/4HANA running on persistent memory. It's working, it's there. It will take a little bit till you can purchase it, but we wanted to make sure that you guys kind of get a preview about what's coming.